Welcome back, everybody. This is our fifth screencast. Today is the first of a two-part series on creating and utilizing Google Forms. I just started off here in my general Google Drive, which at this point we're all familiar with. And first, before I show you how to create and share the forms, we're going to just take a quick look at what a form looks like. I'm sure all of you have filled out some kind of live form online, and this is just an example of one that we utilized to have our teachers sign up for our EdTech training this June. So typical questions, get people's names in, the little star, which we'll talk about, is a way to make a question required, which means I'm not going to be allowed to submit unless I filled out that question. There are different types of questions. It could be just a little text box, a drop-down menu, multiple choice with little bubbles, check boxes, and basically this is a tool for real information gathering. It's a great tool for homework, for both short or longer homeworks, depending what you're looking to accomplish. It's really just a great, easy way to gather information into one place, so that when you have 20 or 30 or whatever number of people, students, colleagues that are filling out a form like this, it will come into one nice spreadsheet, which you can see over here, which is just the where all the information is compiled. Gives me a timestamp when the person filled out the form, and again all the information. And we'll see in a few moments there are a lot of cool tricks and tools that we can utilize here. So what I'm going to do, just to show you quickly just how real and how live that form is, I'm going to open up a form that I pre-created, and on another computer that you don't see me doing, I'm actually going to the link and filling out this form. And just bear with me for 1 minute. I'm going to put some information in there, and I'm going to do some of it as gibberish just so that we don't take too much time here. But right now I'm going to click the submit button on that other computer, and momentarily you will see that information just jumps right in real time into this what we'll call the back end, the Google spreadsheet. But again, when you go to create, we're going to see you're going to go to Google Forms, but the form is the front end that the user will use to fill out, and the sheet is the back end where you will gather all the information. So again, you could watch this if you had 20 people fill out this form at once, and you would, it would all kind of just jump right into the form all at in real time. So what we're going to go do now is just show you how to create a form and some tricks of the trade, if you will, to keep in mind as you do that. So back in our Google Drive, we're going to go to create, and we've already talked about folders and docs. We're skipping for the time being presentations and spreadsheets. We're going to cover that in a future session, but for now we're going to go to form, and we're going to just say that we're allowing it to be created in this shared folder, because this folder that I'm utilizing is shared. And the first choice that you have, although don't get too caught up in it because you can change it at any point, is what kind of a theme you would like to have. First we'll give it a title, and we'll call it Google Form for Screencast number 5. And I always, I guess because of the school, like to pick the one with the books, but really you can pick any of the themes that you want, and again you'll see in a few moments it's really easy to change later on as well. And that will take us right into the editing of the form. It gives us our title. You can give it a description, please fill out by Monday, or whatever the description and directions you want to give your students, and automatically it leaves us here with one question, and it's automatically, the default is on a multiple choice question. What I'm going to do, because typically when you're going to do this, you're going to be looking to be able to identify the people's responses. So typically what I would do is, and I would do this every time personally, is I would start with the last name of the student. You might just write last name, you might actually bother to write student last name, and I'm going to change that from multiple choice to a text. I'm going to show you in a few moments all of these different options. I'm going to change that to one little text box. This is where they would put their answer, and I'm going to check off to make it required. This way they cannot submit without putting in their last name, and I'm going to click done, and there I have one question. I can go ahead and add another item. It's going to keep it on whatever I just had, so it's there on text. I'm going to write now student last name. I did that already, sorry. Student first name, and then we're going to also make that required and click done. And I'm going to do one final one, which I like to do. It may not always be necessary, but student email address. Again, keep it as a text box. I'm going to make that required and click done. Please keep in mind these are extremely easy to move around. You just literally drag and drop into whatever order you want that to be. So I'm going to keep it the way I had it. And the reason I suggest that you keep the last name and the first name separate is because once you end up in the back end over here, it'll be much easier to sort alphabetically or to sort in whatever other ways you want to. So my personal advice is to keep it a separate box for last name and first name. I will just show you one other cute trick that had I not gone to add item, simply what I could do is come over here. One is to edit, which would open up that box, which I'll come back to shortly. And the other one over here is to duplicate. I can automatically duplicate that question, and I could have just simply changed the word last to student first name. So something like that might be a little bit of a trick to save yourself some time, as opposed to going to add item and going to a new thing. In this case, the third option over here is to delete, so I'm going to delete that since I have student first name already. Okay, so right now we've added 3 items. They are all text box. Let's now see what else there is, the other question types. So there's a paragraph text. This would be if I wanted more room for an answer, like a paragraph or so, a couple sentences. So describe how you are feeling today. Let's not get too deep, but something that you would want some more conversation about. Again, required if you want it to be, and click done. And now there are a couple of lines, and when we go into the the form, when the student fills it out, there will be more room than in these boxes to do that. What other items are there? There are, let's just slide down here. There are multiple choice questions. So like the one I had put out there before, what is your favorite color? And choice 1, blue, hit the tab button, pink, red, purple. You can even add an add other if you want it to be, if you want that option. Again, I can make it required or not. In this case, I won't. And click done. The one other thing I wanted to mention, which I did not mention, is that if you want to gather information in an anonymous way, then that would be the time not to use these identifiers of the name or email addresses. But again, assuming you do want to identify the information with its owner, you will want to have some form of name or identifying marker there. So here you see a simple click in, and I'll show you how this looks live momentarily. The other items are, so we've done text, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes. Check boxes are really the same thing as multiple choice, just instead of a little circle there, we have a box to check. So I'm going to do the exact same question just for the sake of you seeing that. What is your favorite color? And again, blue, pink, red, purple. Just slide down and I'll click that add other and done. And you see it's the exact same thing. This is really just a question of personal preference and style that you like, but it accomplishes the same thing. Let's keep going. Add another item, another question type. Whoops. And now we have choose from a list. Similar to a multiple choice, just it will take a little less space. This is probably good if you have a lot of choices. So I'm going to keep it the same question just so you get the point. What is your favorite color? And choice 1, blue, pink, red, purple. And in this case, let's just slide down. In this case, with this type of thing, there wouldn't be an other because there's no room to fill in anything. So I'm going to click required, click done, and now what is your favorite color? And it's a drop down. Whoops, sorry, that's not the live form, so I'll show you in a moment how that will work, although I think you could get the idea of it. Let's take a quick break and go to the live form so that you can see it. Now, how do I see this live form? So if you go over here to tools, Actually, we're not quite there yet. That's not correct. Over here, if we go to View Live Form, that will open that up, and now I can see it's got my theme, and it has all my questions. And if I go over down, scroll a little bit further, what's your favorite color? That drop down so that I can choose what it is that I want. Okay, let's X out of this one. Hang on one moment. Okay, so now that we're back in the edit form, let's just look for one more minute at the other items that you could add. And you can add a scale and a grid, which are, if you wanted to make this a broader scale, you would have, more options, and you can choose how many columns, how many rows. I'm not going to go through all of those, but you can play around with. Bottom line is that there are all these different question types that, you can use to suit your needs. Let's just slide down a little bit more. And that really, you can add the time and the date so that they fill that in as they go along. Okay, now the last thing on the bottom here is show the link to submit another response. You can have that checked off. You can have it publish and show a link to the results of this form. I'm going to show you in a few moments how to see the results on your end as the teacher, but you could check this off so that the user, when they're done submitting, actually shows the responses of all of the other respondents. Maybe we'll take a quick look at that. And you can also decide whether or not you want the person to be able to go back and change what they've done. So let's just save that. And this is a way to send the form. I'm going to show you that from a different location in a moment. So I'm going to actually uncheck that for now. And we're going to, whoops, hang on one second. Let's go back now to the top over here. So this is the main edit form screen. And now what we can do, and a moment ago we clicked on View the Live Form. Now I want to take you to the back end, View Responses, and you're only going to have to click this here once, the first time, and that takes you back into what I would call the back end. So if we were to fill this out, all of our answers would show up right in here. If we want to do that quickly, we'll do that together. I'm not going to put in real information just because I don't want to take the time, but enough that you'll get the point here. Let's click on my favorite color, my favorite color, my favorite color. Be consistent. Click Submit. It tells me thank you for my responses. And now if I X that out and go back into the back end, there it is with all of my responses. Now let's take a look at the different options here. In fact, I just have to caution you, one of the things that will come up for you the first time you do this, when you are clicking the View Responses, it will ask you if you want to save the responses in a separate spreadsheet or if you want it to be saved in a different sheet within this sheet that you've already created with the form. So personally, I use, and the default is to create its own spreadsheet. So right now, as you look at it, you'll be looking at two things: the back end form or sheet, and then the front end. Again, this is the editing, the edit view, or you could look at the live view. Now in the toolbar here, there isn't really much else that we really need to play with. These are just your basic things. If you want to download the form or the responses, you can do that. You just have to know a little bit of Excel to be able to handle that. You can make a copy if you want to make a copy of what previous form that you've used and just kind of play off of that one. And then in the responses, you could uncheck accepting responses, so that would be the way to end it, so that even though the link to the form is out there, which I'll show you in a few moments how to send out, nevertheless, it will not, if you want to end the acceptance of responses, you can do that. And then there are going to be some summary of responses, which I'll show you from the other field. So this screen is really, let's get rid of that, the way you create the form. Okay, in a few minutes we'll talk about how to share that form and how to send out that form. It's going to be pretty simple. But again, like I said, all of these boxes can be dragged and dropped, and it's really quite straightforward. The other side of this which I'm just going to show you quickly, and then we're going to pick up with this in the next screencast. In fact, maybe we're going to leave that for the next one. All I want to show you over here is how do I share this form with others. So there's a quick way if I want to send the form right up here on the top to an individual or just a few people. If I click Send Form, I can actually send the form straight to another person's Gmail address, right, or any email address, or I can send this link. I can copy and paste this link to, and then put that into an email, or put that, on some other, website or something that I am linking to. So that is the simplest way, but the way that's typical in terms of really sending it out to a broad base would be to be going into that live form. So let's go back to the live form from this end, which again, I'm going to show you all this in the next screencast again, but let's go to form, go to live form, and this URL here is the one that you're going to want to copy and paste and send out to someone. You do not want to use this URL up here, because that's the URL to the back end. You personally don't want your students to get access to that, and it won't help them. They won't be able to fill out the form. So you want to go to the live form and then send that URL out to whoever it is that you're looking to fill out your form. So we're going to call it a day here, and basically what we've learned is the power of what a form can do, and how to create a form and move around the different objects of a form, and how to send out a form. In the next screencast, we'll take a little deeper look and see the back end from the teacher's end and see what you need to know.